All right, YouTube. In this video, we're going to be talking about fakes in boxing because it's such an important part in your game, especially as you're trying to go from a beginner to a more advanced fighter. Feel like you can't touch someone, it's probably because one, they were an advanced boxer, and two, it's because you weren't adding feints in your game. That's how you're gonna beat an advanced boxer. You could get away with beating up a beginner without faking, but once somebody gets to that advanced level, you're not gonna touch them if you're not throwing fakes in there and trying to throw off their game. So I'm gonna give you a couple of different ways that you could fake in this video. Now, the first one I'm gonna teach you, which is probably gonna be one of the easiest ones to pick up, is gonna be foot faking, okay? So this is good to do on the outside, especially with the jab. All you're gonna be doing, you're gonna be in your boxing stance, and the way I like to throw a foot fake is just by stepping with the front foot, seeing how they react. So I act like I'm really about to throw a punch. If I was throwing a jab, that's the exact motion that I'm gonna follow with my entire body. The only difference is now that the hand isn't leaving my face. I'm still staying safe. I just want to see how my opponent reacts as I'm doing it, all right? So I'm stepping forward with the front foot about 2-3 inches, selling my entire body language as if I'm really about to throw that jab just without throwing it, okay? So this will give you some intel on how your opponent reacts. Maybe they back up. Maybe they go for a catch. Everyone's gonna react a little differently. Maybe they don't react at all. And if they don't react, then you're actually gonna start throwing those punches. That's kind of just a way that you could gauge respect. And it's one of the most simple ways that you could fake from the outside. And that's how you get a feel for your opponent and how they react from the outside, especially when the jab's coming, all right? So the first way of faking is that foot feints. So there's two ways that you wanna sell hand feinting. The first way is by catching someone with their peripheral vision, all right? Now, the thing that I love about hand faking is it doesn't have to be perfect. It could really look like you're not throwing a punch at all. As long as you catch it at the right time and it's in your opponent's peripheral vision, that's enough to sell it right there, okay? So a good fighter who hand feints a lot is Canelo. What he likes to do, he likes to throw the right arm straight out, and then he'll throw a left hook to the body. That's his most common use feint. It's really just seeing how your opponent reacts and trying to sell it. So with hand feinting, the way I like to explain it, I'm gonna start with the jab because that's most common. It's almost like you're actually throwing the punch. The only difference is you're extending it out about 20% of what you originally would. So starting with the straight punches, I'm just gonna start with the jab. Barely, I don't know if you guys could see this, so let me give you a side view. Barely extending my hand out. I'm extending it out about 20%, seeing how they react. You could even flick the shoulder a little bit with it. You're selling it like you're really throwing the punch. You're treating it like you're really about to throw the punch, but you're just saving the energy as opposed to actually throwing it. And you're just getting intel, just seeing how your opponent reacts, okay? So that's how you could hand feint the jab. Now, where it gets more creative is on the inside when you start hand feinting the hooks and the uppercuts, and it's a little more tricky. It's a bit harder to pull off if I'm being honest. So I'm gonna start with feinting a hook. What I like to do when I'm inside with my opponent, I just shoot my arm outside. It's a risk because I'm leaving myself open and I could definitely get caught, but I just shoot my hand on the outside the same way Canelo does to catch their peripheral vision, and they'll feel my hand leave from the guard if we're on the inside. What that does is it's usually gonna get a reaction. So if I throw my hand out to the side and they don't react, I'm really gonna throw a hook right after. I'm gonna make sure that they start opening up their guard a little bit. But what a defensive and a reactive fighter is gonna do is they're either gonna duck down, they're gonna bring their hand up, open up their guard a little bit down the center. And if they do, this is where the feints start coming in and you could catch them a little bit. So for example, say I'm feinting outside with the hook, but I wanna catch them down the middle because they're trying to catch the hook using their guard. You could quickly just flick that hand out to the side, and it takes a little bit of control and timing, and you have to be a bit experienced to do this, but you could shoot the right hand right down the middle. So it's like a quick flick outside, boom, right hand down the middle once you see the guard open up. And then from there, you kind of just get creative. You start playing with them. If they reacted to that first feint, okay, maybe I'm really gonna come with the hook now. I'm coming around the side. I want you to expect a feint now, and this isn't gonna be a feint. Now I'm gonna start comboing up. Or maybe I'm faking outside, coming around the other side with the hook. Or maybe I'm faking outside and just jabbing down the middle. If you open up that guard too much, I don't have to take the risk with the same hand. It's gonna take longer to travel and you're gonna see it coming a bit more. Now, when you feint the uppercuts, it's kind of the same thing. It's just like you drop your hand and then from here, see how they react. If they go for a catch, come right over the top. Fake like you're going low, boom, right over the top with the right hook. Or you could fake with the lead hand like you're going low, then boom, straight down the middle if they open up. So With the inside feints, the hooks and the uppercuts especially, is more so about catching them off guard and tricking their peripheral vision. That's all it is. It doesn't need to look like you're really gonna throw the punch as long as your hand goes in the peripheral vision. And if you're close enough where you guys could feel like each other's hands and arms on each other, then once they feel the hand leave the guard, they're gonna assume that a punch is coming. So that's a very effective way to feint. Second way was with the hands. Now the third way, and this one is sneaky, you could catch a lot of people with this, is with the eyes, right? So you just deceive where you're looking at, make it look like you're gonna hit somewhere, then you go to the opposite spot. So if I wanna hit the body, I could look my opponent up top at the head, maybe throw a couple of feints to the head, have my hands in the high guards like that. Maybe it looks like a high punch is about to come out. And then the truth is, once I see in my peripheral vision now that a part of the body's open, boom, catch them right down low. Or if you wanna hit the head, maybe I'm looking at the body, trying to see what's open, trying to get close, getting low especially, so like that I'm selling, like I'm about to hit you in the body, and boom, I just pop up with a headshot. And that one you kind of have to practice it. It's more like a mental thing than it is practicing. With the other two, it's a little bit more practicing, getting the body work down. But with the eyes, it's a bit more mental. Now, that was a third way, selling feints with your eyes. The fourth way is gonna be selling it with noises, okay? So once you get experience again in boxing, a lot of beginners don't do this, but once you have enough sparring experience, you're gonna start breathing out as you punch, okay? That's how you manage your energy. And it's super important to just know how to breathe with your punches. So for me, I make that hissing sound that a lot of boxers make. I go, whenever my punches are landing, I'm breathing out nice and sharp. Now, sometimes just that noise gets people to react. So what you could do is you could mix this one in with like a body fake. So maybe like the step and the hissing, I go, that's enough to catch somebody and really sell the feint. It's just like a cherry on top to like some of the other feints. So that's something that you guys could add in your game, is if you make a noise when you punch, make that noise when you're not punching. It's just gonna make the feint more realistic. And the fifth way that you could sell fakes is with head movement and body movement overall, okay? So for example, if you're gonna hit to the body, usually it's coming off of some type of movement, or you're getting low with your knees, maybe slipping a shot, then boom, you could send a shot down low. Now this is gonna work especially for short people, but it's setting up with head movement beforehand, because off the head movement, you're in a low position. So it always is gonna look like a low shot is coming, but from here, you could bounce back up top with a head shot, then you could get low again, another headshot, look at the body. And this one's paired up well when you mix the eye feinting with the body movement feinting. So like a slip, and maybe I'm looking at the body like I'm about to hit it, but in reality I'm coming over the top. Or maybe I'm slipping and I'm looking at the head like I'm gonna hit it, but I'm throwing a short shot down low to the body. So that's it's kind of like a natural feint. That one, again, it's not one that you're really trying to sell so much. It's more so that you're trying to stay safe, use your head movement, and get an opening on your opponent. That one's gonna come natural. That's a natural way to feint. So that's the fifth way, just off of head movement and body rotation alone. Now, sixth way, and this is probably the most important way to feint in my opinion, it's called soft feinting, okay? This is kind of like how you see boxers, they're always in like a rhythm is what they call it, where maybe they're like constantly moving their head, or some boxers constantly move their hands around, always looking like fidgety almost, but it's a controlled pace that they're moving at. That's called soft feinting. So for example, the way I like to soft feint myself, I like to constantly move my jab and my lead hand around. So I'm always like either making circles or going up and down with it, probing it straight out, pulling it back in. I'm always doing something with my lead hand, and in my opinion, that's the most effective way to soft feint, but everyone has their own style and their own cup of tea. What this does with some opponents, not all, it keeps them constantly reactive. So it's either gonna keep their guard constantly up, or on the other hand, their guard is always gonna be down, because they're gonna be used to you constantly moving that hand, and then it just makes it a little harder to react when the jab actually does come out, because there's just so much movement with that lead hand and so much to focus on. So you either have to pay attention to it and respect it, or you have to ignore it. And either way, you could set up something off of that. So let's say I'm going up against someone who's very defensive and very reactive. They like to counter punch a lot. This is just gonna make it 10 times harder for them to counter punch, because they're not gonna know when I'm actually throwing that jab. I'm always changing my level with my body. With my hand, I'm changing the level. I'm extending it out like I'm about to jab, but I'm not. Sometimes I'll extend it out slow. Sometimes I'll pop it out quick. That is just, it makes you harder to read as a fighter. There's no specific pattern that you're following. So that's why soft feinting is really important. And if you're on the inside, what some people do, they're like constantly grabbing the hands, maybe pulling it down, shooting shots, or just changing their levels of the guard, maybe changing their height, maybe changing their height by bending the knees, getting low. It's just kind of, again, like I said earlier, it's almost like just constantly being in a rhythm. rhythm. This is something that once you find what's comfortable for you and doesn't take so much energy for you, that's how you'll know what soft feint is effective for you. So for me personally, it's the head movement because I'm always trying to stay in a rhythm, and it's playing with the jab hand at the same time because that just keeps people thinking, and I have to jab to get in closer to people. Same thing if you're tall, you're gonna have to jab to keep people away. So soft feinting is one of the most important ways to fake on your opponent, and that's a way where you could do it kind of naturally without thinking so much. If you could master all those ways of feinting, you'll go from a beginner fighter to a super advanced fighter. If you've ever sparred and you feel like you can't hit someone, it's most likely that they're a little more experienced than you, and it's probably because you're not throwing a lot of fakes in there, all right? That's how you catch people who move their head a lot or who are super slick boxers. Those people that box with their hands down and they're constantly side to side, dropping down, coming with quick shots. Feinting is a way that you slow those people down, getting aggressive, hitting the body, selling a fake to the head, boom, going down low, slow them down. So with feinting, you could kind of make the fight at like your own pace, and you could take away a lot of your opponent's energy. If you have someone who overreacts to fakes, you could really get them to use a lot of energy by constantly slipping fakes that aren't even being thrown, and then you could set them up into your next punch. If I'm faking a jab and I see someone keeps on slipping outside the jab, maybe I'm gonna fake it and then really throw it where they're slipping to, just in anticipation of where they're gonna be. There's 1,000 ways that you could set up using fakes, okay? So the way that you could get better at this and you could get used to faking, start off practicing on the bag, and if you have a trusted sparring partner, work with them at a light pace where you're just trying to get them to react with fakes. Don't tell them that you're doing that because then they're gonna be ready for it. But you know, light sparring is the way that you really learn these methods and you kind of stick to them. And then when you're ready, then you could put it into practice and hard sparring and see how you really sell it in a real situation. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You guys could come check out my gym in person, Perez Boxing in New York. You guys could find me online. My social medias will be linked or somewhere on the screen right now. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.